But just because we can't wrap this episode up. But I was just saying, rest in peace to Walter.
That's all.
Yeah. But I want to dedicate the episode to him. Want to dedicate this episode to him, man. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Rest in peace to Walter Bauer. Walt passed away November 21st, I believe, November 22nd. And it's really, really rough, yo. It's crazy. It's still a shocker, so it's weird to even really talk about, It's crazy to say that Walt passed away. But rest in peace, man, to my brother. Anyone that's a fan of this podcast, or you've been listening to this podcast from the beginning, Walter. Walter was a host on here alongside myself from the beginning. He was on chapter 5 in the very, very beginning. Chapter 5 all the way up until chapter 49. Walter, he heard I was doing the podcast. He was a supporter from the day one. From the second I even said I was going to do it, he was down, because Walter was just like that guy. He was always super, super supportive for anything that you did. And that was one of the best, it was crazy, amazing qualities of him. Like, he always had belief, And then when we were doing the first 2 episodes, third episode, the male host that I thought was going to be on wasn't on. So then he was like, yo, I'm down. I want to be in. Like, I would definitely want to do it. And at the time he was battling his own, things, his own mental health issues and stuff that we all go through. Just like we said, we all go through it all time to time. Sometimes it's worse and sometimes it's not. But he was dealing with his own stuff. And, he pretty much kind of always said to me in the beginning that he was like, he needed that. He needed to be able to come on the microphone and to talk to people and to give him that outlet. That was an outlet that he really, really wanted to have. To be able to
the recording has stopped,
to help himself and to help others. Like, he was going through and he still wanted to sit here all the time and help y'all and talk to y'all and to have these discussions. And he loved it. Sometimes he missed episodes because he had to work. He was working 2 jobs at the time, but he loved therapy without a degree, man. And even when he left right after chapter 49, and that was not because he wanted to. He left because he had to move. He moved down to Florida, and he was working on some things with himself, personal development, trying to switch it up, get himself into a different job, and just be with his family, be with his parents. And, we obviously decided for him not to continue to be on the podcast at the time, because it's different, man. Like, we love Tay. We have Tay, on in the video and the audio and stuff like that, but he was already in person. He was in person every week. And it just didn't seem right, to go and to just, switch up and just to be on the audio only. And, he had to, work on things with himself as well, too. So, but through that whole process that he wasn't here with us, me and him would talk every day, texting back and forth all the time. And he would always even still listen. You know what I'm saying? He loved this guy being a part of it. He was a big, like, yo, I'm with it. Like, Zane's for it. Zane's like therapy without a degree. Like, he would rep the shirt, rep the hoodie still. He was all about it. And, he would always talk about, like, damn, like, he wished he was still up here for that. That was one of his reasons. Obviously, he had his family, his brothers and his friends, but he was like, damn, like, I really miss the podcast. He said that it was a real big thing to him. And, beyond just the pod and the brand, Walter was a brother to me since we were like 10 years old. Like 10 years old, little kids running around being fucking badass kids and like fucking Louis and skipping school. He used to call to get me out of school and shit. We just fucking stay in his house.
Got the plug.
Oh, hell yeah. I used to call for him. He would call for me. That's how we would do it, Shout out to you, Donna. Because Donna, when you were working UPS, we took a couple of days off and we'd just be in the house, and we did our thing. And yeah, man, Walter was family, man. Walter will always be family, It's just no other way to explain it, Was always really, really close with his brother, Mikey. Me and Mikey were always a lot more close in the beginning, and we're still very, very close, But then it was, Walter went to the military. He was a veteran. He went out, did 4 years in California, and he came back. And then over the years, as me and Walter got older, we started to get closer as we got older. And me and Mikey were closer when we were in the beginning. And then, people get married, they have girlfriends and stuff. Things change. And me and Walter started being a lot more closer. And, it was just a crazy, amazing friendship. Brother that, we can go sometimes weeks without texting. We can go times without seeing each other. But it was still always like pick up right back where you left off, And there's always those friends and those people that, you will call family and you'll have them as family. And you'll even see them as family. They'll be like your brother. But it was just something with the dynamic that I had with Walter and even, his brother Mikey and our group of friends, Jay Foss and John Wyman and Bobby and, Rich and a lot of us. I think because of how long we all were cool and how little we were, like we grew up with each other. We had bad times, good times. Like we didn't just always have good times. You know what I'm saying? We had a lot of bad times too. We had all those situations. So it's just very, very rare. And Walter was one of a kind. Walter was, one of the best people I always knew. Like I said, he supported anything and everything. And beyond that, but that just alone just showed his character. There was nothing. I would never hear him say to somebody, and this is all the people that he surrounded himself with. He was never able to just talk to somebody. Like you would never tell him in your idea or something you wanted to do, and Walter would never shut it down. Walter was like, all right, do that shit. You know what I mean? Like you want to do it, go do it. Like I know you're gonna do it. He always shed so much love and light and all that shit into everyone that he dealt with. And it's crazy because now that he passed, I have so many people, reaching out to me that loved him, and so many people, so many friends of his that he touched in so many different ways. So, it's just crazy. And, we're obviously going to be having, multiple conversations about, Walter on this podcast forever. He's always going to be a major, major part of this brand. And, there's only so much I could say here and now. But just know, Walter was an amazing dude. Character like no other, man. He was a soldier, in and out. He had a heart of gold. And he was one of those people that he always made you feel better. Always. Always. Like, no matter the situation, no matter what he was going through, no matter how bad his day was, he always made you feel better. To everybody. He always made you laugh, always made you smile, always made you feel that you were good enough. Always. Through it all. And even through the jokes and even through the fun and even through those big brother moments of him and he would give the tough love, and through all that, he always made people feel better, And there's that quote that I like to live by, and it's by Maya Angelou, and it goes, people will forget what you said, people forget what you do, but people will never forget how you make them feel. And I'll never forget how Walter made me feel. And I don't think anyone who's ever been around Walter, even if you were around Walter for one fucking day, you will never forget how that man made you feel. And to the most smallest instances, even the guy at 7-Eleven. I told the guy at 7-Eleven that Walter passed, and he wanted to even break down in tears because even the cashier, Walter made even the cashier at 7-Eleven feel fucking great. It didn't matter who he came up to. He would always give you lots of love and joy through everything. And yeah, man, love you, Walter. This episode is dedicated to you. And I think that's all I have for this episode. Zane, what you got? My bad, I'm over here choked up, but we had to get that out.
I was gonna let you finish it out, and
I
was gonna.
I could go on forever, man, about Walter, but
But yeah, man, shout out to Walter. Definitely much appreciated, and especially since the beginning of the podcast, kind of set a tone for that comedic, encouraging energy that he gave on the podcast. In terms of shout out, I want to shout out the cast and crew for Therapy Out of Degree the show. If it wasn't for y'all, the show wouldn't have been possible, especially in terms of the amount of time that we put into like each episode, the days that we had, even through the coldest season, y'all stuck it through and we made it happen. Y'all gave us the energy that was needed plus some.